a more appropriate email content. Let me ask, Marjorie, can you please help me read? What are the components or the contents of an appropriate email? Hey, Marge, go ahead.
Inappropriate email content.
Oh, Marjorie, Agape?
Yes.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
An appropriate email content is free from jokes, well written and businesslike, free from obscene and sexual language, free from racial comments, contains no harassing, menacing, negative or defamatory comments, free from mechanical errors and structural problems.
All right, thank you so much, Marge. So your email content should not have any jokes, even if you are sending it to a colleague. No, even if you're sending an informal email, if you are using the business email, please avoid using or writing jokes because it can be misinterpreted otherwise. Right? A joke for you may not be a joke for someone else. And we've been discussing how to write a professional email. So you just need to follow all the guidelines that I've shared with you in the past 2 days. And of course, avoid obscene and sexual language, anything that's defamatory or that would connote racism. We avoid using those. I'll give you an example of racism and a joke that was shared. Although it was not through an email message, it was mentioned in a conference by a vice president of a company that I used to work for. I'm not gonna say the company, of course. So the vice president was holding this marketing conference. So all the marketing managers were there, and our department was in charge of the event, of managing and organizing the event. So we were there. I was handling, if you remember, I said I was also handling events before. So I was the main director of that event. One of my team members is pure Chinese, a Filipino Chinese. And then, and she was the one right in front because she was the one managing the tech. So yung computer, yung PowerPoint presentation, the audio, it was all hers. So she was right in front of the stage. And then this VP jokingly said, it was a joke, and then we know it was a joke, but he used the term, itong mga chekwa. And that was, everyone in our team just was so surprised that it came out of the VP's mouth. Because, one, the joke was not funny because it was inappropriate to say something like that in the group or in the conference. And secondly, to use the term, I'm sorry if I will say it now. I never use this, but just an example. For him to say the word chekwa is actually racist. No? He could have said Chinese Filipino. But because of the term chekwa, my immediate response was to look at my team member who was there, and I can immediately see her face from looking so happy because she was enjoying the speech to really look like so disappointed and really upset. No? So that's what I meant when I said a joke for one may not be a joke for another. So we have to be careful with the jokes that we are saying and the terms that we are saying. Maybe internally in your internal group, you're using that. You're using such terms. But at a wider audience, let's avoid using those terms, especially if there are other external recipients of an email, or even not in an email, even in conversations. If there's an external person outside your small group, I would highly recommend that you be careful with the words that we use. All right? So that's just one example that I wanted to highlight here. And then the email messages should not contain any harassing, menacing, negative comments, such as if you don't submit it within the week, you may receive a call from our lawyer, for example. So that's a threat, right? It can be taken as a harassment. And because it's perceived as harassment, when I'm saying perceived, because it might not really be harassment on your part, but for the receiver, they might receive it or they might see it as a threat and as a sort of harassment, some form of a harassment. So they can use that email message to file a lawsuit against you or against the company, and we don't want that. Okay, then free from mechanical errors and structural problems, just follow the structure of the email that I shared with you yesterday. Now, from the subject line all the way down to the signature. Okay, so again, let me just re-emphasize this: if you will not say it to my face, do not say it on cyberspace. Questions, clarifications about this part? All right. Another thing that we need to remember is to avoid sexist language. What is sexist language? Anything that highlights gender or it's a comment regarding gender. With more and more women in business, especially like right now in this group, I think 90% of us here are women, right? And I'm not just talking about women. This is both for women and for gentlemen. But with more and more women or other genders being present in businesses and in high-level positions within company, it's no longer acceptable to use masculine pronouns such as he, him, his, and himself. Now, before kasi, it is